Now we know the how. Our own government, again, found a man they didn't like, not a crime he committed. They found a man they didn't like, and Flynn, they needed to shut up. And they invented the crimes later through a series of setups. How? How did they do it? Well, let's go back to this Real Clear Investigations piece, which is an absolute gem. How did they target Flynn? This is Eric Felton, July 18th of 2019. Again, it'll be up in the show notes for you to read. And it is worth your time if you want by the way, my next book, we cover this in depth, and it is juicy. The Labyrinthine Ways and Wages of Stefan Halper in Real Clear Politics, So from the piece, we find out that the people that wanted Flynn out, some of them may have actually been in the Pentagon. The Pentagon? But Mike Flynn was a decorated military officer. Oh, not everybody in the Pentagon's your friend. Quote from Eric Felton's piece. That helps explain how Halper, Halper, the spy who was paid to spy on the Trump team. Well, did you know Halper was involved in the targeting of Mike Flynn as far back as 2015? From the Felton piece, it explains how Halper was able to collect more than $1 million from the Pentagon in 4 years. The late ONA director, Andrew Marshall, presided over the first three of Halper's studies looked at by the IG. But the one in 2016 was approved by the current ONA director, James Baker. Oh, remember that name, folks. ONA acquisition officers are in charge of the paperwork. So first I told you the why they wanted to nail Flynn to the wall. He dared to speak out against a lot of things the Obama administration wanted to keep real quiet. Now the how. How did they do it? Well, it turns out that our own Pentagon has an Office of Net Assessments that was paying a spy, Stefan Halper. This spy was deeply involved in the plot in 2015 to take down Mike Flynn. Those contracts where this guy was paid were paid for and overseen by a guy from an Office of Net Assessments who was running it by a guy named James Baker, at least the last one. Baker pays Halper. Halper's involved in the 2015 targeting of Flynn. Remember, Flynn shows up at this dinner in 2015 in the UK. Svetlana Lakova's there, who we've spoken to,
there you go.
who was Russian-born but is a UK citizen. Allegations start to surface that Flynn had some untoward dealings with this Russian-born woman. It's all false, as Svetlana Lakova talks about in her new book, The Spider. Pick it up. It's good. Halper knows all of the people involved in that takedown. Dearlove, the UK folks involved. It is a setup. They put Mike Flynn near this Russian-born woman to set him up, to take him down as far back as 2015. And it appears it may be related to contracts emanating from the Pentagon's ONA, run by this guy named James Baker. Don't forget that name. Again, we're still on the how they took him down. Let's go to this Washington Times piece. So Baker's ONA at that point is paying Halper, who's involved significantly, and we know in the takedown of Page and Papadopoulos, is thought to be deeply involved in the 2015 takedown of Flynn, too, with allegations he was involved with this Russian-born woman, Lakova. All false. All false. Go to this Washington Times piece by Rowan Scarborough, who does terrific work. Again, 2019, but worth your time. Pentagon accused of leaking Flynn phone calls to Washington Post, fueling Trump-Russia probe. What? Mike Flynn, just so we're all clear on this. So General Mike Flynn, patriot, hero, decorated U.S. military officer, is being taken down by his own Pentagon?
What?
Let's go to a screenshot. Oh, yeah, from that Washington Times piece. Remember the names, folks. I can't tell you this enough. From the Washington Times piece, we find out that Baker, who ran the ONA, the Office of Net Assessments, we find out that Baker was meeting up with a reporter from the Washington Post. Who's that? Oh, David Ignatius? Oh my gosh, David Ignatius. You mean the same guy who in early 2017 is responsible for the Washington Post article that illegally leaks the contents of Flynn's phone call with the Russian ambassador Kislyak, the one he was charged with lying about? Baker, who runs the Office of Net Assessments, that's paying a guy who spied on the Trump team. Baker is having lunch with a reporter from the Washington Post who later illegally, by the way, leaking the contents of this is illegal. Now, whether the reporter committed a crime, we can argue for days. But the leaking of the contents of that call to Ignatius is unquestionably a federal felony. Who do you think leaked the contents of that call? Oh my, that could be big trouble, couldn't it? So now we know why they took him down. We know how. They're paying spies to set up Flynn. Do you have that from the Washington Times? Throw that up. Sorry, we were a little, this is a packed show today. ONA Director Baker regularly lunched with David Ignatius, Sidney Powell writes. Baker is believed to be the person who illegally leaked the transcript of Mr. Flynn's call to Ignatius. A source to the Washington Times said that Mr. Baker and the journalist had regular contact. Now we know the how. Our own government, again, found a man they didn't like, not a crime he committed. They found a man they didn't like, and Flynn, they needed to shut up. And they invented the crimes later through a series of setups. That series of setups are clear. The 2015 dinner with Lakova, where he's alleged to be in this illicit engagement with this Russian-born woman, Lakova, totally, completely false. Setup number 2, the phone call in the Dominican Republic. They wait for Flynn to leave. Obama kicks these Russians out of the country. Flynn to leave the country and go to the Dominican. They then monitor his phone calls. They then use the transcript for setup number 3, where they run to the White House to interview him in violation of protocols, hoping he will mix up a couple of words on that phone call because they have the transcript. They don't even show him the transcript. They do, and then they set him up a third time, and they finally got him there.
You just heard The Dan Bongino Show. You can also get Dan's podcasts on iTunes or SoundCloud and follow Dan on Twitter 24/7 @DBongino.